Yeah. And what about on the seller side? So part of what I think is interesting in Shein's model, and we talked about this earlier, is all the data that you're able to get and understand, how what things are selling, more predictive analysis. I always, when I was at eBay, I always would get frustrated because like we have so much data. Why aren't we pushing this out to sellers to tell them what inventory should they be sourcing? What are the top 20, top 100 keywords of what people are looking for? Where do we have gaps in our assortment? How are we getting in front of that? Is anybody doing that well and providing more data to the seller side that's going to help them shore up what they bring to the marketplace and the value they can add?
Not well enough. Some platforms are providing some data, but typically they need to rely on the actual sales of their own brand on these different platforms, and then forecast how much are you going to sell in different regions. So it's hard because some platforms like Amazon is sharing data, they're selling data. So, and then you don't have the consumer behavior on these platforms. So you don't see what others are selling on these platforms. But then again, you didn't have that when you just had your own e-commerce store in Google either. So there is an advantage if you have the right product content and you know a little bit how algorithms work. You can influence them on marketplace as well, because marketplaces are large search engines. Yes, AI driven, but if you know what they're looking for, you can influence that. And the fun thing is on marketplace, it's not just organic results where you can optimize for keywords, but you can influence it with advertising spend as well. If you do that strategically, you can just accelerate your sales velocity and then come on top on these rankings. So there's a combination. No, you don't have all the data, but if you know the patterns, then you can leverage that. And the hardest one to optimize for is, for instance, Amazon, because you have 600 million products to compete against. But that's where we can look at all the other different platforms, retailers that became a marketplace, smaller marketplace in different regions that are local heroes that are less sophisticated. So all the stuff that you used to be able to do on Amazon and is now sort of forbidden or hard to do or optimized, you can still do on all these other different marketplaces. And there are marketplaces with 10 billion in GMV, but only 10,000 sellers as opposed to the millions of sellers on Amazon. So if you focus on those kind of marketplaces, it's super easy to optimize in a certain category and become a winner and do way more volume than you would be able to do on page 26 on an Amazon.
Right. I like the idea of these local heroes. I mean, obviously, one of the problems that brands have is getting enough scale and operational efficiency to be able to be on more than just Amazon, which is usually the 80-20 rule for a lot of brands. But it doesn't mean aren't a lot of pockets and opportunities. I love the term local heroes. And I think you have a particularly unique perch at the channel engine command center of view of the world's marketplaces. Is there one that comes to your mind when you think about it doesn't have to be your favorite local hero, because I don't want you to pick your favorite child, and no parent can do that, but one that kind of piques your interest when you think about it, like a leading marketplace within a niche market that sellers should think about more.
Yeah, so looking at local heroes, we typically look at a region. So we started in Europe. Now we are a global company, and we see 950 marketplaces that we connected worldwide. So that's a massive network. But in Europe, there's a big difference. So there's a huge misconception, especially if I speak to people in the US, that Amazon is the winner in all the regions. Yes, Amazon is big in the UK, in Germany, in France, and in Spain. Not even in France that big. In Poland, you need to be on Allegro. In the Netherlands, you need to be on bol.com, which is doing way more volume still than Amazon. You've got CDON in Sweden, et cetera, et cetera. So using these platforms super well is an advantage. And these are just the horizontal generalized marketplaces like Amazon, where you can sell anything. If you want to sell apparel, fashion, you need to be on Zalando in Europe. Or if you're selling high luxury, expensive fashion, there's a platform called 24S. Almost nobody knows it unless you're spending a fortune on bags and stuff like that, but it's owned by the LVMH group. So you need to be a very expensive brand to be on that platform. Same goes with Farfetch. There's a massive backstory for Farfetch, but higher end ticket prices are very well sold on Farfetch. We recently opened up in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, different marketplace, different dynamic. And that's also a massive opportunity for brands